Greek Mythology 2026. Hylonome and the cost of living in a world without meaning. Do you think dying for love is romantic? Then let me break that illusion right now. Hylonome is not a story about beautiful love. It is not about idealized loyalty. It is not about poetic tragedy. It is about the brutal price of continuing to breathe when the meaning of life has been ripped out of your chest. And if you stay with me until the end, you may realize that this ancient story is describing something that is silently happening to millions of people today. Hylonome was a centaur, half woman, half horse. Instinct and consciousness fused into the same body. She did not live divided. She was whole. And that alone is already a shock to us, because we live divided all the time. One part feels, another part pretends. One part loves, another part calculates. One part wants to run, another part pays the bills. Hylonome did not. She was living coherence. And when the world shattered what gave meaning to her existence, she did not know, or did not choose, to continue performing a life that no longer made sense. During the battle between the Centaurs and the Lapiths, her companion Cyrus was killed. War did what war always does. It destroyed what was alive. But what destroys Hylonome is not only his death, it is the collapse of meaning. It is realizing that the world allows love to be crushed by brutality. It is realizing that violence often has more power than beauty. And here comes the uncomfortable part. How many times have you noticed that the world rewards emptiness and punishes what is genuine? She could not endure living in a world where what sustained her soul had been erased. And here is where the symbolic turn truly matters for us. The story is not defending suicide. It is showing the extreme outcome of what happens when someone can no longer find a reason to continue. Hylonome embodies the absolute limit of emotional coherence. If meaning dies, life loses its ground. And us? We keep walking as if nothing happened. How many people today continue existing after something essential inside them has already died? A dream abandoned, a love betrayed, an identity crushed by expectations, a vocation suffocated by fear. The difference between us and Hylonome is that she did not anesthetize the pain. She did not distract herself. She did not scroll endlessly to avoid the void. She did not drown herself in entertainment to escape the silence. She looked into the abyss and made a radical decision. And this is where the myth becomes both dangerous and powerful. We live in the era of automatic survival. Survival has become a virtue. Endurance has become a medal. Staying has become proof of strength. But surviving in an environment that destroys your meaning may be the slowest form of self-destruction. Hylonome did not want to survive at any cost. And that forces us to ask a question almost no one wants to ask. Are you living, or are you just prolonging a reduced version of yourself? This story is not about imitating her choice. It is about understanding the warning. When the world destroys what is essential, you have two options: adapt to the emptiness or reconstruct meaning. She chose the extreme. We must choose transformation. And perhaps this is the most urgent lesson in this ancient narrative. The centaur represents the union between instinct and consciousness. When she loses her love, she also loses integration. The world becomes fragmented, and fragmentation is the illness of our age. We work in places that do not respect our essence. We enter relationships out of fear instead of truth. We accept routines that drain our vitality, and we call this maturity. But maturity is not amputating your soul just to fit into a broken system. Notice how precise the myth is. The external war mirrors the internal war. Collective chaos mirrors psychological chaos. When society clashes with what is natural and authentic, the individual suffers. And that is exactly what we are living now. Disconnection from nature, constant acceleration, endless comparison, a culture of performance. All of this creates a world where meaning is replaced by productivity. Hylonome confronts us with a brutal question. What happens when the meaning of your life is destroyed? Do you rebuild or do you dissolve? She dissolves. And that is why this story is not romantic. It is a warning. You might think this is exaggerated. It is not. Look around. Burnout has become normal. Anxiety has become routine. People live for years without knowing why they get out of bed in the morning. That is what it means to live in a world without meaning. It is not about the absence of money or work. It is about the absence of purpose. And purpose is not a productivity goal. It is a deep connection with what makes your existence worthwhile. Hylonome could not endure the dissonance between what she felt and the world that imposed itself. And perhaps the myth is telling us that there is a limit to incoherence. There comes a point where continuing to pretend is more destructive than breaking away. But modern rupture does not need to be self-destruction. It can be radical transformation. It can be changing direction. It can be leaving a toxic environment. It can be abandoning a narrative that no longer belongs to you. Now let me make a direct invitation. If this reflection is resonating with you, it is because this story is not ancient, it is current. And on this channel, we do not tell myths to entertain. We use myths to decode the human psyche. If you have not seen them yet, after this video, you can continue this journey by watching The Symbolism of the Horse, where we dive deeper into the instinctive force the centaur represents. Then move to Centaur Chiron, the wound and the healer, to understand how a wound can become wisdom, something Hylonome did not manage to achieve. After that, watch Atlas, the weight of the sky and the burden of existence, which directly connects with the existential weight we discussed here. If you want to expand into the psychological dimension of human fall and choice, go to Eden and Pandora's Box, where we explore how decisions shape destiny. And to close your marathon, Pegasus Symbolism reveals the other side of the mythical horse: elevation, transcendence, rising above the raw ground of reality. Do you see the path? From collapse to meaning, from wound to awareness, from fall to transcendence. This is not coincidence, it is symbolic architecture. Returning to Hylonome, there is something even deeper. She represents the danger of placing the entire meaning of your life in a single source. When Solaris dies, her world ends. That is human, but it is also a warning. If your entire identity is concentrated in one relationship, one role, one function, you become vulnerable to total collapse. Symbolic maturity requires multiple roots. Love, yes, but also individual purpose. Connection, yes, but also autonomy. The myth does not need to be softened. It is extreme because extremes reveal truths that daily life hides. Hylonome shows what happens when the world destroys what is essential and a person finds no symbolic alternative for reconstruction. And here is what matters most. We can choose differently. We can turn pain into reinvention. We can turn loss into expansion. We can turn collapse into consciousness. But that requires courage. It requires looking at the void without running away. It requires admitting that something inside you has died. Only after that is it possible to rebuild. The question that remains is not why Hylonome died. The question is, what inside you is dying while you continue living? Is it your creativity, your authenticity, your ability to love without fear, your connection to nature, your spirituality? Ignoring this is choosing a slow death. Facing it is beginning a metamorphosis. The ancient myth is telling us that living without meaning is a form of absence. And meaning is not something the world hands you ready-made. It is something you build, protect, and, if necessary, rebuild. Hylonome did not rebuild. We can. And if this reflection resonated with you, if it touched something you have been avoiding, do not treat this as just another video watched. Let it become a turning point. Continue exploring. Dive into the other episodes. Connect the symbols. Because mythology is not the past. It is a psychological map. It is a mirror of the collective soul. Hylonome is not just a tragic centaur. She is the image of what happens when emotional coherence collides with an incoherent world. She is the silent scream of someone who has lost the ground beneath her feet. But she is also the warning that surviving without a soul is not victory. It is postponement. Her choice was final. Ours is still open. And perhaps that is exactly why this story still matters.